10 plot holes in Grand Theft Auto 5 that were never explained. Welcome back to GTA Robot. Let's get into the video. Number 10, why not go for Death Wish right from the start? Throughout GTA 5, the protagonists were used as pawns by multiple men, which was pretty much the point of the whole story. Our heroes would be antagonized with these guys for a long time before Franklin got the option of either killing Trevor, Michael, or go for a Death Wish, where he teamed up with the two to kill the people against them. The question here to raise is why the heck did this not strike the main characters in the first place? They were feeling the heat the whole time these guys were controlling them, so this Death Wish wasn't something far-fetched. Add to that, Trevor was giddy with this idea, meaning there wasn't much convincing to do in the first place. Number 9, Michael's fear of Madrazo. Michael got on the wrong side of Madrazo earlier on in the game, putting him in a bad position for the rest of the story and being Madrazo's muscle to pay back his debt. And yet we outright saw Michael kill people with such ease that it seems laughable that Madrazo would scare him. If Michael was still too cowardly to go against Madrazo, then he could have tasked Trevor with killing this. As we know, Trevor hated Madrazo's guts and would gladly have agreed to carry out the task. Number 8, Trevor leaving Brad in jail. Trevor kept whining about the good old days to anyone who would listen, and was very protective of the topic of Brad. This guy was the third best friend in the trio that also included Michael and Trevor, and the latter was lied to that Brad was in prison for the last decade. It was shown as a big deal when Trevor found out that Brad was dead, except he was already a pretty bad friend for leaving Brad in prison. Sure, Brad wasn't actually there, but Trevor didn't know that. It's not like prison was very far either, and considering all the crazy antics Trevor had done, breaking out Brad shouldn't have been that difficult. Number 7, how easily Michael was found. You'd think being a witness protection would give Michael some sort of anonymity, but it turned out to be a piece of cake to find him. As we saw, it took Trevor nothing but a car ride from the rural areas into Los Santos, and he waltzed right into Michael's house. The game could have at least made it appear as if finding Michael was difficult, but Trevor didn't even have to find Michael himself and left the job to his moronic associate Wade. It doesn't seem like the witness protection was useful in the slightest, making the whole arrangement useless. Number 6, what was Michael doing in the back of his son's car? Michael wasn't exactly tight with his son, who loathed his father for being distant. This would rule out Michael and Jimmy for being close enough that they would go out for rides in Jimmy's car. Our reason for pointing that out is that because this car was where Michael met Franklin. Franklin, as part of his rep job, was getting the car back to his boss, but found Michael there who ambushed him. Clearly, Michael didn't know Franklin, who would be dropping by, so how come he was in the back of Jimmy's car? Since this meeting started GTA 5's whole story, it's a huge plot hole that we don't know when Michael was there. Number 5, is Trevor's mom real? It makes sense that a man so mentally damaged as Trevor would have his mom to thank as the reason for him being so deranged, and Miss Phillips was the only one who Trevor was truly frightened of. In her only appearance, she appeared out of nowhere and ordered Trevor to do her work. After Trevor went across town to fetch her things, she came back to find his place was empty with Miss Phillips gone. Trevor was distraught about it for some reason, and we never heard about the story again. This raises the obvious question as to whether Miss Phillips was a figment of Trevor's imagination or just bailed out on him. Number 4, Franklin's reason to target Michael. You don't have to go with the death option if you don't want to, and instead you can go and kill either Michael or Trevor. Although Franklin was a friend of Trevor, it makes sense he would go kill him since the latter was too much of a loose cannon. However, it wouldn't make any sense why Franklin would go after Michael. After all, Michael was basically Franklin's father during the story, and they never had any problems with each other. Even when you go to kill Michael, we're not shown any good reason for this choice other than it being an option within the game. Number 3, the secret to Michael's riches. The people who are in too deep with some kind of criminal factions or such do get to live a good life in witness protection, but there can't be any kind of world such as the one Michael got. The man was living it up big with no problems with money whatsoever. Since he was the witness protection, it's hard to believe the feds would be cool with Michael just using his robbery earnings to live a life of splendor, since they would have just confiscated that money. Not only is this point not explained, it never even opens up in conversation with any character within the game. Number 2, Lester not knowing Trevor was alive. Lester never got himself out of the game and was keeping tabs on everyone within the same circuit. He knew so much that at one point Lester mentioned Nico as a possibility to help them in a heist. Nico hadn't been active since 2008. Despite all this, Lester somehow didn't know how Trevor was doing until the game's main story started. This is a guy who got Franklin to kill people for arbitrary reasons, which shouldn't have been public knowledge, but didn't know Trevor's whereabouts, even though the guy had his own crime company called Trevor Phillips Industries. Number 1, the banks not realizing their customers are criminals. Forget GTA 5. This is a plot hole that plagues all our Grand Theft Auto games. Once you finish off with a mission, you get money sent in your bank account, an account that the bank maintains and should be familiar with. Yet we get paid literal millions at many points of the game, and the bank is never suspicious how this is possible. It makes even less sense when you consider this money is added to the characters' accounts after they completed huge robberies, which should easily tip the banks off. A bad justification would be that Lester laundered the money, but since the amount was in millions, it shouldn't make any difference and the bank should put 2 and 2 together to realize these guys were the robbers. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.